Hello everyone, welcome back to Talking History. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you all keeping well. So this week's video, I'm going to be in the season of Halloween as it is coming up. And I personally love a bit of Halloween. I love nothing more than sitting down and watching a really good horror movie. I personally like the ones that's supernatural and paranormal, although I do love a little bit of Freddy Krueger. I grew up watching Freddy Krueger. So I probably will watch those again. I do like them. Anyway, so whether you're a believer of the supernatural or a skeptic, either way, I hope you enjoyed today's video because this story comes from the 12th century historian William Malmsbury. Today's video is all about the Witch of Berkeley. I hope you enjoy it. This is a tale recorded by the 12th century historian William Malmsbury. He had written a book titled The King, the Witch and the Berkeley Toad. In the book, Malmsbury states that the story is being just as true as the details of the kings whose lives he was reporting. Quote, "At this time an event occurred in England which was not a celestial miracle, but an infernal wonder. I am sure none of my listeners will doubt the story, although they might in fact wonder at it. I heard of these offences from a distinguished man who swore he had seen them for himself, and I will be ashamed not to believe him." Berkeley is a market town in Gloucestershire, which is not too far away from me, and the town was there long before the castle. Berkeley goes back before the 9th century, and it once belonged to one of the most powerful men in the land, Earl Godwin, father to Harold Godwinson. The Berkeley of Godwin's time wasn't dominated by its castle, but in fact by a nunnery, St. Mary's Church. Now that's unusual as it doesn't have a tower. It stands on the other side of the churchyard, but there was another older church attached to the tower, and that no longer stands today. And this tale comes from that early church. As I've stated, it is a story recorded in the 12th century by the historian William Malmsbury. And this is about a woman who lived in Berkeley. This woman was neither young or old, and she had been a respectable wife and mother. And when her husband died and her children grew up and left home, she threw herself at life with her arms open. The woman, she was financially comfortable. She ate fine foods. She wore fine clothes and jewellery. And one day she was preparing herself a meal in the kitchen when a crow that she kept as a pet flew into the kitchen and spoke to her. In utter shock and disbelief, the woman dropped her knife. Some dreadful calamity is coming. The woman began to cry, and no sooner had the crow uttered those words, a knock came at the door. There stood a grim-faced messenger. The messenger told her that her eldest son and all of his family had died in a horrific accident. The woman, she loved her children and grandchildren dearly. The shock and grief became too much for her. She took to her bed and she summoned her 2 surviving children, a monk and a nun, from Berkeley's nunnery. Her children hurried to be by their mother's side. Her fine clothes and jewels were gone. She suddenly looked old. To her children, she looked old, as if death was already at her shoulder. She beckoned her children closer, and the woman said, "My children, you find me waiting for death, but I cannot greet him friendly, for I have lived my life without a care, given into every vice, embraced my every pleasure the flesh could afford me. My neighbours, they wonder how such a wicked woman could have 3 kind and pious children. I have wondered that myself, and God punishes me now. He has taken your brother, his wife, and all of their children. It will soon be my turn. Next for me is the devil. He'll come. I had hoped that your prayers would save me, but now it's too late." The woman, though, she had a plan. If she couldn't stop death, then she could stop the devil claiming her. She instructed her children to have her body sewn into the hide of a deer and have her placed facing upwards in a stone coffin. The lid was to be fastened down with lead and iron. The 3 thick iron chains wrapped around it to weigh the whole thing down with a stone, and that stone also wrapped in 3 thick iron chains. She then asked for prayers to be chanted for her, and if she was safe after 3 nights, they could then bury her. The woman, she had died, and her children, they followed her instructions. Their mother's body, in all of its protections, was placed in the nunnery's church, and the church door was bolted shut. The nuns and priests were locked inside for 3 days and nights. 2 days they sang and they prayed. The sun set on the 2nd day was when the demons came. They flew around the church. They screeched so loudly that it froze those inside to the spot. The priests' and nuns' voices stuck in their throats. Suddenly, the demons burst into the church. The demons ignored those inside the church. They went straight to the woman, whose corpse was in a stone and coffin, and the chains. The first 2 chains, they broke as if they were twigs, but the 3rd chain held in place. The church began to shake when the demons shrieked and cried. The priests and nuns, frozen in fear, continued to pray, their eyes tightly shut. At cockcrow dawn on the 3rd day, the devil himself came. The priests and nuns fell silent, no longer praying. Their hair stood on end when the horned figure approached the woman's coffin. The devil commanded for the woman to rise. The woman cried, "I cannot. The chains, they bound me. By the power of your sins, you will be unbound," the devil said, reaching down, breaking the chain as if the last chain were a mere twig. He then kicked off the coffin lid and it shattered into 1,000 pieces. He lifted the woman out, carried her past the priests and nuns, and outside a horse was waiting. The horse's back was covered in iron hooks. to tie the woman down. The devil, he slapped the horse's rump and it shot off outside, only leaving the woman's cries behind that could be heard for 4 miles around. Not long after this, the nunnery was closed by Earl Godwin. Maybe he'd heard of the chilling tale and the things going on at the nunnery. If he had or not, Godwin didn't take any chances. It was said he had snuck his nephew into the nunnery, pretending that he was sick and he needed their care, but really only to seduce each of the nuns, and it seemed to have worked. Godwin's wife, she was so furious when she found out that she refused to eat any food from the Berkeley estate. So Godwin, he simply bought the manor at Woodchester near Stroud so his wife would eat. The Godwins didn't keep the estate much longer after that, and with the arrival of William the Conqueror in 1066, they had lost their lands, and by the time of the Domesday Book was completed in 1084, Berkeley came into the family who holds it today. But that isn't quite the end of Berkeley's dark tales. There was, of course, the deadly fate of King Edward II. But lesser known is during the time of Henry VII. A monstrous toad was discovered at Berkeley. It is said that a wicked lord had fed 2 of his children to appease it. The toad also too was lost for a while until it was discovered grossly fat and over a foot long. The toad was once displayed at Berkeley, and the toad was in fact a stuffed seal. But if you look at St. Mary's, the toad can be found squatting over the heads of 2 women. And there is the tale of the Witch of Berkeley. There we are. So you've got a chilling tale and also a little bit of history in there. So I do hope you've enjoyed today's little video, a little break from everything else going on. And if you enjoy Halloween, or if you don't, if you just think it's just another day, just let it pass on. But whatever you are doing, please enjoy yourselves. Please look after yourselves and just do something for you. And before you go, please do hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. I have so many planned. And please do like and share so we can continue reaching all the history lovers like yourselves. And as I said, please do look after yourselves. Do something for you and just keep being you, because you're all blimmin' wonderful, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. And I will see you all soon in the next video. Take care.